What's up, you guys? Hope it finds you well. Today I'm going to demonstrate the swinging pull-up, which is not my favorite name. If you have a better name, put it in the comments and I'll change it. But it is one of my favorite moves, and I think it's a critical move for developing explosive power for climbers. You'll find this move in our 512 plan, which is stacked with lots of other unique Samsara movements, as well as in Basecamp, which is our online training platform. In this video, I'm first going to demonstrate the movement, then I'll tell you why I think it's a critical move, and lastly, we'll talk about how to integrate it into your training. So let's demo it first. I'm going to show you just a single move to start. I'm going to grab the bar, shoulder width apart, and I'm going to step my feet forward. As I do that, I'm going to rock my hips and shoulders forward, and I can feel that whole anterior or front side fascia tissue all along my abs and chest start to stretch and elongate. And because that tissue is elastic, when it elongates, it's going to recoil. That recoil, just like on an elastic band, is going to enhance the muscle power that's going to propel me upwards. So here we go. I'm going to step forward, and I'm just going to take the bar. I'm trying to throw it down. I'm trying to unleash that elastic power and throw the bar down. As I do that, I'm covering not just vertical ground, but also horizontal. So I'm going up and back. There's two different ways I can use this movement in my training. One is to improve my power. Power would be my maximum expression of both force and speed. In order to do that, I need to do very few moves. Maybe 1, 2, or 3 moves at most, and then I'm going to take a long period of time to recover. That could be 30 seconds or a minute, and then I'll return with just 1 to 3 moves. In order to maximize power, I have to work at my threshold. I have to be doing my absolute biggest, most explosive efforts, and that's why we want to cut it short after 3. Now, that's going to help me improve single move power for hard boulder problems or single cruxes on a sport climb perhaps. But if I want to be able to chain sequences of movements that aren't quite maximal but are still really difficult, as I would on a single or double bolt sequence on a sport climb or on a gear route, then I'm going to work at a lower percentage of my max, and I'm just going to pump up and down for maybe 15 to 20 seconds, depending how long I can sustain it. That'll look like this. If you work more in that power endurance type of way that I just demonstrated, you're going to teach your body to maintain your power for longer and to be able to sequence or string together numerous quite difficult moves. The biggest mistake that I see climbers make here is that they go to total failure. That's a mistake. You're going to see a big decrease in your total power if you do that. Instead of that, I want you to stop as soon as your power drops. In fact, even better than that, stop 1 to 2 moves before your power drops. The reason I like this movement so much is I think that it really replicates the way that we naturally produce force when we're climbing. A lot of climbers are still doing pull-ups, but honestly, when I look at pulling up and I see this movement here, I just don't see how this mimics climbing. We are not trying to get our chin over the bar. We don't climb here. In fact, the only time we really climb here is when we're total beginners. As climbers, we naturally want to produce our force out here. Our body isn't inclined to produce really high forces when our joints are really short in any sport, and that holds true in climbing. We want to teach our body to generate force up and out here. So that's one reason why I think from just like an overall movement point of view, this swinging pull-up really teaches us to generate peak forces at the top and then to carry that peak force. What I notice is that in vertical climbing, when we do throw, when we are dynamic, most of that power is coming out of our feet because our feet are directly underneath us. And for the rest of the climbing in vertical terrain, our hands and arms, they're really stabilizing our body as we make upward progress out of our feet. And then when we get into steep terrain, you can't do a pull-up because you just bonk your head, right? The terrain's going back. So we're not just trying to go straight up in steep terrain, we're trying to go up and back. So again, this movement really mimics that from a movement and biomechanics point of view. So how do we integrate this move into our training? So for us, this is a power move. This comes at the end of our training cycle in weeks 9 through 12 out of a 12-week training cycle. The reason it's important to mention that is that power work is naturally going to be the most likely to injure us. And that's true of really any kind of power work, because power involves some load, but that load is going to come at us really fast. And generally our tendons and fascia system are going to be challenged in their ability to absorb that load as it comes quickly. So we want to make sure that we've built the capacity through maximum strength and tissue building work first, and then come into the power work after that. Secondly, another thing that we want to make sure that we're doing is build up to it in the individual session. So I want to have a warm-up that ends with some pretty hard maximal strength work, like maybe a one-arm lock-off. So I'm going to do this for a few seconds. I'm going to go to the other side, and that should feel pretty manageable, pretty easy before I go into that power work. Then once I've checked all those boxes, I like to build power regularly throughout the year, but I only build power endurance just in the lead up to a climbing trip or trying to perform at my peak. The reason for that is that power endurance, it doesn't last very long. It's quite quick to build and it's quite quick to disappear. So trying to maintain it year round, I don't think makes a lot of sense. Power, that ability to do singularly big moves, that takes many years to build, and it stays with you because a lot of those gains are neurological. So that does make sense to build regularly throughout the year, even if you don't have a peak climbing objective on the immediate horizon. Okay, I hope that helps. If you want more guidance, we'd love to help with that. Get into the 5-12 plan. We'll lay it all out for you. There'll be dozens of other moves like this, and you'll be sure that you're doing it in the right sequence so that you're not getting injured and getting the most out of your body. All right, any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thanks for being here.